Hey everyone, imagine this. What if every choice you made, every book you read, and every conversation you had wasn't just a moment in time, but a step in shaping who you are? Because guess what? It is. In today's video, I'm breaking down how your identity is built from both the stories you tell yourself and the influences around you. By the end, you'll have the practical tools to take charge of this process and shape your best self. For those of you who are new here, I'm Dr. Lem Usita. I've spent over 20 years helping young adults navigate their identity formation, both as a professor and as a coach. And I've seen firsthand how powerful it is when people understand that their identity isn't static. It's shaped by every experience, every relationship, and every decision. My goal is to share what I've learned so that you can take control of your growth journey. Let's talk about how your identity is constantly forming. First, we'll dive into the internal stories we create about ourselves. Then we'll explore how the world around us, our relationships, the culture, and even social media shapes our self-view. Finally, we'll bring it all together to show you how to use these insights to build the life and identity that you're proud of. Today, we're diving into something that affects every single one of us. Whether you're at the start of your career, chasing big goals, or just trying to figure out who you are. It's the idea that everything forms. Every book you read, every conversation you have, every challenge you face, it all shapes your identity. But here's the thing, identity isn't just something you're born with. It's a dynamic process constantly shaped by internal stories and external influences. Let's break it down. First up, let's talk about the internal process. This is about the stories you tell yourself about you. Psychologists call this the narrative identity, the idea that your sense of self is built around the stories you craft from your personal life experiences. Maybe you've always seen yourself as someone who thrives under pressure. That story might come from overcoming challenges in school or at work. Or maybe you've been told that you're bad at public speaking because of one awkward moment years ago. These narratives become the foundation of how you see the world and then also how you see yourself. Now, the good news, these stories aren't set in stone. Every new experience gives you a chance to reshape your narrative. Read a book that inspires you. Seek out mentors who challenge your perspective. You have the power to reconstruct your story. Now let's talk about the external stuff, the things outside of your control that still shape who you are. Sociologists call this the looking glass self. Basically, it means we build part of our identity based on how we think others see us. Take social media, for example. Every like, every comment, every DM, it can shape and it can influence how we see ourselves. It's a feedback loop, and if you're not careful, it can turn into a cycle of comparison and self-doubt. But external influences aren't always negative. Surround yourself with people who lift you up. Mentors and colleagues and friends who see your potential and remind you of it. Their feedback can reinforce the positive parts of your identity. So, how do these internal and external forces work together? Well, it's a constant dance. Say you've always seen yourself as someone who avoids conflict, but then you land a leadership role that forces you to address tough situations, and over time you realize you're better at handling conflict than you thought, and your narrative shifts. This interplay between your internal narrative and external experiences is where growth happens. And the best part, it's an ongoing process. You're never finished shaping who you are. So here's a big takeaway. Everything you consume shapes your identity. The media you watch, the books you read, the music you listen to, the podcasts you watch and listen to. Psychologist Albert Bandura's social learning theory tells us that we learn by observing others, whether it's a mentor at work, a character in a novel, or even influencers online. The people and ideas you engage with become a part of your identity. So be intentional. Seek out content that aligns with the person you want to become. Curate your social media feed. Pick up books that challenge you. Surround yourselves with people who inspire you. The bottom line, Everything forms. Every experience, every relationship, every piece of content, it all shapes who you are. So take control. Be intentional about the influences you let into your life. And remember, your identity isn't fixed. It's always evolving, and you have the power to shape it. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more content on personal growth and identity. And let me know in the comments, what's one thing you're doing this week to shape your story and your identity. See you next time.